This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. President Trump raises doubts about the summit with North Korea, saying it may not work out in June. Here on the home front, the president is rallying pro-life voters before the midterm elections. CBN's White House correspondent Ben Kennedy has more.
In an Oval Office meeting with South Korea's president Tuesday, President Trump raised doubts about the summit with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
There's a chance that it'll work out. There's a very substantial chance that it won't work out, and that's okay. That doesn't mean it won't work out over a period of time, but it may not work out for June 12th.
This news comes after the North objected to a one-sided deal to give up their nuclear weapons before getting anything in return. But Trump says not so fast, as he's willing to make an offer to Kim for a denuclearized Korea.
I will guarantee his safety, yes. He will be safe. He will be happy. His country will be rich.
While overseas, Trump could make a stop in Jerusalem to visit the new U.S. Embassy. It's been a week of Hamas-led riots along Israel's border with the Gaza Strip, which begs the question, will the U.S. step in to help?
We'll take one last question. Ben?
Thank you, sir. I wanted to ask about Gaza. The violence continued today. Does the White House have any plans to meet with the Palestinian Authority?
There are no scheduled meetings at this point, but if something changes, we'll certainly let you guys know.
And on Tuesday evening, the president rallied pro-life voters before the midterms.
America has a pro-life president.
Mr. Trump took center stage at the Susan B. Anthony list as the first president to give the keynote address at the Campaign for Life Gala. There he touted his new proposal to stop tax dollars from being used for abortions.
For decades, American taxpayers have been wrongfully forced to subsidize the abortion industry through Title X federal funding. So today, we have kept another promise. My administration has proposed a new rule to prohibit Title X funding from going to any clinic that performs abortions.
In the days ahead, the president will continue working to get the North Korea summit back on track. Trump has made it clear to North Korea that no nukes or no meeting. That being said, yes, the president would like to see an all-in deal, insisting Kim give up his nuclear weapons at once, but has not ruled out the chance of accepting something short of that. Ben Kennedy, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you, Ben. Here is a look right now at some of the other big headlines we're following for you inside the CBN newsroom today. A private jet crashed off the end of the runway in Honduras, breaking in half. Miraculously, all 6 passengers survived, thanks to bystanders who raced to pull survivors from the wreckage. Some tried to lift the door while others grabbed fire extinguishers. A federal judge in Virginia ruled in favor of a transgender teen who wanted to choose which bathroom to use. Gavin Grimm sued the Gloucester County School Board after it barred him from the boys' bathroom. The judge declined the school board's request to dismiss the case. Grimm has since graduated, but the case will have implications for high schools across the nation. The House passed a bipartisan prison reform bill Tuesday. It will provide training programs for prisoners with the goal of reducing recidivism rates. Lawmakers are hoping to push the bill through the Senate. You can find more on these stories and others throughout the day at cbnnews.com. Hawaii is still under threat from the Kilauea volcano. The biggest concern is what could happen if rivers of lava reach the island's power plant. Heather Sells has our report.
The big focus in Hawaii right now is the island's power plant, known as PGV. A river of lava is creeping closer to it, threatening the plant and the island's power.
We've been monitoring what's happening at PGV, constantly watching the lava flow and the threat to the PGV plant.
Officials have removed 50,000 gallons of flammable gas from the property. They've plugged one well with mud and cooled off 10 others to counter the pressure from rising volcanic steam.
We do believe that all 11 wells are at a place that's stable, and the risk to uncontrollable release of hydrogen sulfide has been mitigated.
More than 20 ground fissures have opened up, spewing lava and sending a fiery river to the ocean and releasing toxic fumes into the atmosphere. Sulfur dioxide emissions have more than doubled since the current eruption began May 3rd. The air, especially in the southern part of the island, is increasingly dangerous. Authorities have already forced more than 2,000 people to evacuate. A spike in the level of gases in the air could lead to a mass evacuation, as could a problem at the plant.
If we really felt that the plant was at risk of being overrun and could trigger a well being exposed, then that's when we would order the evacuation.
There's no end in sight with this volcanic disaster. Already, it's destroyed nearly 50 homes and other buildings. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Pressure is building on the Justice Department and Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of the Trump campaign. Tuesday, the president refused to say whether he has confidence in Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. This comes after reports of concern the Obama administration may have authorized spying on the 2016 Trump campaign. The White House announced House Republicans will be allowed to see classified documents on the Russia probe Thursday. House leaders say the Justice Department has been stonewalling congressional demands for months. Nearly 800 National Guard troops are still standing watch along the southern border. And while California's governor thumbs his nose at the president's decision, Texas Governor Greg Abbott calls it the right move. In a wide-ranging interview with CBN News, our Jenna Browder talked to him about issues facing his state, as well as how Abbott's faith is central to how he leads the Lone Star State.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott makes a stop at the Texas-Mexico border.
He's a man of the headlines.
Governor, thank you very much for taking the time.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott in the spotlight regularly.
You are sending more National Guard troops down to the Texas border. It was 250, and now that number is at 1,000. Why?
We want to ensure both the rule of law and safety. Here's what we've seen over the past year, and that is from March in 2017 to March in 2018. The number of people coming across the border has increased more than 200%. The amount of heroin coming across the border has increased more than 200%. What everyone needs to realize is no one just happens to come across the border illegally. They get there because of activities by drug cartels and coyotes and human smugglers.
Abbott and the people in his state also made news this past fall when Hurricane Harvey unleashed its relentless fury. Utter devastation spread across hundreds of miles. But through it all, Abbott says faith prevailed.
The aftermath of it was the horrific flooding that took place in Houston. And there you saw literally the hand of God acting to benefit everyone who was there.
He says the same proved true when a gunman opened fire in this Sutherland Springs church, killing 26 people.
And I've never seen faith surface and reveal itself so much as in the aftermath of that horrific shooting, because these people who experienced the worst of the worst, they lean on the thing that matters the most, and that is God. And it's their faith in God that led them through the pathway of the stormy seas that led them to the road to recovery. And had it not been for God, they would still be stuck in a quagmire.
Had it not been for God, he says he too would still be stuck.
How do you explain these tragedies to people who wonder, where is God in the midst of all of this, having been through adversity yourself?
Well, I explain it through the lens of my life.
At age 26, Abbott's life changed when he was out for a routine jog. It was after a storm that a tree crashed down on him, crushing his spine, leaving him paralyzed for life.
You do ask, God, why did this happen? But what I found helped me overcome that was when I calmed down and listened to God, and I was forced then more than ever to lean on God and to follow God, and it was that pathway that led me out.
The governor wishes no one ever had to face such terrible tragedies or experience what he did. But if they do,
all I could hope for anybody is for them not to have to go through that tragedy, but to come to the same outcome, and that is to let God lead their lives.
Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Coming up, the Secretary of Agriculture speaks his mind and shares his faith. We're sitting down with political legend Sonny Perdue next. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue is an easygoing son of a farmer who's made it big in politics, all while being open about his Christian faith. As Jennifer Wishon reports, his agency doesn't typically get much attention, but finds itself in the limelight thanks to a trade dispute between the U.S. and its biggest customer, China.
Despite a storied career in politics, Sonny Perdue feels right at home here. He grew up on a farm in Middle Georgia where he fed calves, mowed fields, and baled hay. Like a growing season, you could say the 71-year-old has come full circle.
I can remember being in the hay fields as a 10 and 12-year-old and working until 5 o'clock and then go and put on my Little League uniform and go play games.
It was around that time in his life when he invited Jesus into his heart while attending Bon Air Baptist Church.
My mother may have thought I was perfect, but God knew I wasn't. So he knew that I was sinful just like every other person born, and I needed a Savior. And at 11 years old, I recognized that and submitted to that need of someone to pay for my sins.
In Georgia, Perdue is a political legend. After leading the state Senate as a Democrat, he became a Republican, and then, against all odds, won the governor's mansion, becoming the first Republican governor of Georgia since Reconstruction. And through it all, he's not shied away from his Christian faith, even asking reporters,
if you read the Sermon on the Mount, if you read the qualities of love, joy, peace, compassion, patience, those kind of things, what are those qualities that disqualify someone for governing? We as Christians have failed to live the Christian life. That's why people worry when we get into office, because sometimes we're no different. But when we're really literally living the Christian life, that's the best form of government you can have.
Secretary Perdue, it's a pleasure having you with us.
1 year into the job, he's already visited nearly 40 states.
Hello there, how you doing, Brooke?
And when the secretary comes to town, it's a pretty big deal. Despite the many important roles it plays, like regulating the food we eat, USDA isn't typically a hot topic in Washington. But the agency recently found itself in the crosshairs of international news when the president took on the trade deficit with China, and China retaliated with U.S. farm products on the tip of its spear.
President Trump is an interesting negotiator and sometimes leads with very much aggression, but has an ability to get people's attention. While farmers are anxious over trade disputes, over renewable fuel standard, ethanol, and those kind of things, labor and issues, there's still some of President Trump's most loyal supporters.
Perdue is running with Trump's call to slash federal regulations, putting nearly 30 on the chopping block last fall, with more to come. He says red tape is a top complaint among farmers.
Have to have a HR director to comply with, or a CFO on staff to do that. And farmers, it's typically a farmer and his wife trying to comply with these regulations and permits and reports and all those kind of things without violating the law. And it's a very thin line to walk sometimes.
He caught grief when he recommended replacing food stamps with so-called harvest boxes of non-perishable goods. That idea was swiftly canned. But he's in favor of tightening work requirements for food stamp recipients, focusing on a hand up over dependency. And he's waded into the immigration debate, using his authority to make the guest worker program more flexible for farmers.
We need a legal workforce on farms. We don't want people having to live in shadows there. We don't want farmers doing things illegally.
He finds himself in an interesting new role as an elder statesman, seasoned Republican, serving in the cabinet of a renegade.
He's an interesting fella, and he's kind of all business. What I like to say about him, he is decisive. He knows where he wants to go. He is a sooner rather than later kind of business guy, which I understand and I get, but he has the essence of any good, successful leader. You would think he's totally made up his mind of what he's going to do, but he always has a little back door left open. If you go around, knock on it politely, and give him the facts, he's willing to change his mind.
Perdue says he strives to lead as Jesus would. Once a week, he gathers with as many as 10 of his fellow cabinet members to pray and study the Bible, led by Capital Ministries founder Ralph Drollinger.
It's an in-depth. It's not just checking the box. We actually go through the Bible verse by verse, and we challenge ourselves. The main thing we challenge ourselves is taking the Word of God and making sure that we are living it, not just talking about it.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, babies emerging from the womb and already addicted to heroin. Find out what's being done to stop this drug epidemic when we... America faces an opioid addiction crisis like no other nation in the world. A federal study now shows 1 in 5 know someone who's been hooked on opioid or prescription painkillers. The digital magazine Quartz says that number explains why opioid addiction has been declared a national emergency. 64,000 Americans died from an opioid or painkiller abuse in 2016. Well, the nation's opioid addiction is killing tens of thousands of people every year. As Lori Johnson shows us, people are now quickly learning heroin is another deadly drug, and it too is on the rise.
Caitlin Weems died of a heroin overdose at age 21.
And life has just been so different since. I mean, no one, unless you've been in that situation, can even fathom how that turns your whole world upside down within a second.
Raised in a stable Christian home, Caitlin loved sports and school.
But really, faith is the only thing that gets me through it, because I believe that Caitlin is in heaven. I believe she's not in pain anymore.
If it can happen to Caitlin, it can happen to anyone.
The face of heroin has changed. It used to be a criminal element in the urban city, in a warehouse, nothing around here. Now the face of heroin is my daughter who loved soccer.
And thousands like her who started the same way.
Caitlin's addiction began innocently and unexpectedly. She first got hooked on prescription painkillers following surgery.
These powerful, often habit-forming narcotics called opioids go by names like Percocet, OxyContin, and Dilaudid.
And then unfortunately, later on in her story, someone said, why not try heroin? It's the same thing. And within 4 months, she died of a heroin overdose.
Prescription pain pills and heroin produce the same type of high, but heroin is cheaper and easier to get. Another difference? Pain pills are regulated so you know what you're getting. When it comes to heroin, dealers often secretly lace it with other toxins like the all-too-common fentanyl, creating a potential deadly blend. Nora Kitchens knows all about that.
When I used heroin the first time, it was just such a euphoric feeling that I felt like that was the feeling that I had been searching for my whole life.
Hooked after that first time, Nora stayed that way for years.
I have a praying mother and father, so there were a lot of times I was in the deep depths of the addiction in very dark places that I know I only came out of because of that.
Heroin addicts continually need more of it to get the same high. Nora wound up with a $100 a day habit.
Well, that's where the criminal activity starts taking place. I've been to prison 3 times, actually, because of what this drug has done.
As the number of addicts skyrockets, so does the number of babies born to them, who, when they come into the world, are actually addicts themselves and must immediately endure painful withdrawal.
This happens almost every day here at Virginia's Centera Norfolk General Hospital. The day we visited, maternity nurses helped deliver 5.
They're agitated, they're overstimulated, they're difficult to calm. You may have where they have a poor sleep-wake cycle. They may not be able to tolerate changes in the environment. They often are very, very unconsolable is probably the best way to describe it.
Weaning them off the drug often takes weeks.
Most of the time, the babies still go home with mom with a plan in place for follow-up and to make sure that everyone's getting treatment like they're supposed to. They care about their babies, they're moms, they're professional women, they're our friends, and they're our coworkers, and they're our church members.
Like Nora, whose son William was born addicted.
I found out I was pregnant and I was strung out on heroin. And I went to the doctor and said, Doc, I am strung out on heroin and I'm pregnant and I want to have this baby. What do we do?
William is clean and healthy. Nora is still in recovery.
What it took for me was falling down on my knees in front of God and telling him how broken I was and to please come take this from me.
Meanwhile, lawmakers are doing what they can. Virginia Delegate Todd Gilbert pushed through legislation allowing law enforcement to administer the so-called save shot to overdose victims.
Unless we can nip it in the bud, unless we can get ahead of the problem, we are left only with the option of trying to save their lives should they, police officers find them in crisis.
Most states are following this lead, with some allowing trained citizens to administer the save shot, also known as naloxone or Narcan. There is also the 911 Good Samaritan law, allowing people present during an overdose to call for help without risking arrest, all in an effort to loosen heroin's grip on our country.
This is a dangerous and highly addictive substance that even teenagers are intravenously injecting into their bodies. And that is a horrific thought, and it's a horrific reality that we're facing. And if we don't get a handle on it, the future looks very bleak in this country for our children and their future.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
And welcome back. Right now, it is time for your Wednesday word. And today's word is simply this: good. Know this. It's easier to recognize that God is great than it is to recognize that God is good. You can observe greatness from a distance, but seeing and knowing goodness requires intimacy. Today is a good day to spend time with God and get to know that He isn't just great, He is good and good for you. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about, always at cbnnews.com. And we would love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you will make this a wonderful Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless.